Hey, hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanny, and today we are doing my February TBR. Today I want to show you the 4 books that I have on my February TBR. I am recording this kind of late into February, but that's okay. In January, I read 2 books. One of them is The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden, and this is the second book in the Housemaid series. There is 4 books now because Freida just came out with a new book called The Housemaid's Wedding. I have here actually. I have right here. So this is the second book in the series, and it follows Millie, which is our main character. She gets a job as a housemaid. Duh. You might hear my cat, by the way. He's running around. He got the zoomies. What are you doing? What is he doing? Sorry about that. Where were we? It follows Millie, which is our main character. She is working with these rich people. The wife is locked in her room. Millie is nosy AF. She wants to go see like what's going on. The husband is constantly saying, "Don't go in there, leave her alone. She's fine." But she's always hearing things in the room. She gets nosy. She ends up opening the door and talking to her. And the wife ends up asking Millie to help her with her husband because her husband is also like beating her. As this is happening, Millie is also being stalked or followed by someone, but she doesn't truly know who it is. We're still figuring out who is following her, and at the same time, she's still trying to help the wife. But at the end, there is a huge plot twist. I'm not gonna say, because then what's the point of you reading the book? At the end, there's like a huge plot twist, and yeah, I've rated it a 4 star. At the beginning, it was a little hard to read and to follow. We love Freida in this household. Freida is a good author to read if you're starting to read thrillers again, because I think Freida is a really good starter thriller book author. It gets repetitive and it kind of gets annoying. I did tab a lot because there was certain things that I was like either rolling my eyes at or like surprised. The plot twist always gets me, and that's why me and Freida go together, because she always gets me at that. That's The Housemaid's Secret. The second book I read was Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This was actually my book club book that I was in with Kalila. This month's book club book I did not join. I'm not a big sci-fi person, but I have to stop doing that. I have to stop not reading certain books because I'm not into that certain genre. Like, how am I gonna learn about new genres if I don't get into it, you know? But anyways, back to Never Let Me Go. Never Let Me Go is about these 3 kids, Tommy, Ruth, and Kathy. We basically follow their childhood experiences from when they're children all the way up to when they're adults. We can see that they're in like a boarding school. They're preparing them to do something. I can't tell you what it is, but they're preparing them for something. It can get very boring and very long and very draggy. Kind of interesting because it does follow emotions and experiences, and it feels very childlike and middle school like because they were children. And so it can get kind of like repetitive and boring, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm being repetitive, maybe a little boring. I rated this book a 3.5, which is a little high considering the book was repetitive and boring. No, because why am I literally repeating repetitive and boring? Anyways, I did rate it a 3.5 because I did see the movie after I finished the book, and it kind of gave a little bit more context for the book as well. So yeah, this is Never Let Me Go. In the month of January and a little bit in December of last year, I've been reading The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab, and I've actually been reading it on my Kindle, which isn't she a beaut? Like, is she not cute? She's so cute. My boyfriend got it for me. Stop. Thank you. Anyways, it's been taking me a little long to read, and it's because I've been reading it on my Kindle, and I've also been reading physical books. I've also been listening to it on Audible, and I am 30% done. The Invisible Life of Addie Larue is about this woman, Adeline, who wishes she could be independent and free and not have to tend to anyone because like her parents are kind of strict. Like they don't let her do a lot of things. And this story is based in France in the 1700s. At the time, like they're telling her like she needs to get married and things like that. So they are trying to marry her off to this guy. And at the wedding, she like leaves. She leaves the guy because she's like, I don't want to get married. She runs into the forest. She wishes to the darkness, which she's not supposed to be doing because they have told her. And she says like, hey, I want to be free, all these things. Obviously, the darkness kind of took her wish and made it into a nightmare and switched up her words and was like, all right, you want to be free? You don't want to be tend to nobody. You don't want to be owned. You are going to be ageless. Like, you are going to be immortal. You are going to be forgotten. So every time she meets someone, they forget how she looks like. They forget her name. She can't even personally say her name. And so it goes back and forth from Paris, France, where she's like having to leave her town because no one remembers her, and so they keep yelling at her. They invite her in and then they kick her out because they don't remember having her in the house. She has to now go from town to town, and so it's based off in 1700s and now present time in 2014, I'm pretty sure, in New York City. And then something happens when she's in New York. She meets someone, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's where I'm at right now. It's really good so far. It's actually really good. I'm very interested, so I can't wait to see where it kind of goes to. Now let's get into the 4 books that I would like to read in February. Let me be honest with you guys. Originally, I had like 6 books, and I am not realistic. I'm not realistic at all. Yo, girl is in a reading slump. Now, how am I supposed to get through 6 books in 1 month with a reading slump? And usually I'm a very slow reader. Like, I'm not a very slow reader, but it takes me a while to kind of get into reading. And also, I had said in my previous video, in my intro video, which you should go check out, that I used to read a lot or do most of my reading on the train while I commuted my 2 hours to get to work. But now I work closer, so I don't get enough time to read my books. I don't know why I don't have like the energy or the motivation to read at home. I also have a freaking very big, demanding cat. Like, he is so obnoxious. I can make a video entirely of talking about my cat. Anyways, so originally I had 6 books. Now I only have 4. So the first book on my February TBR is What Happened to Goodbye by Sarah Dessen. It's about a girl who is moving from town to town with her dad because her dad and her mom got into a divorce because her mom cheated on him with his coach. She has to move town to town because her father has a job as a restaurant fixer upper. He's like Gordon Ramsay. By the way, me and Gordon Ramsay, we go together. That's my boo. He's like Gordon Ramsay. He goes to restaurants. He kind of fixes them up. After he fixes them up, he packs up, moves to a different town, and does the same thing to other restaurants. While she's moving from town to town, she always changes her name, like Lisbeth or Elizabeth or Beth. Like, she's just constantly changing her name. Her actual name is McLean or McLean. I kept calling her McLean, but it's spelled McLean. Whatever. In this town, she goes to a new school. She does the same routine again. And so she's already thinking about the name that she's going to change to or use. The name that she was going to decide, I think it was Liz. And at the school, they called her McLean. There was like so much commotion that it never ended up her telling the teacher that that wasn't the name. So she ended up just being McLean. Everybody is comfortable with her. She becomes friends with a whole bunch of people. Then she has to move again. So I actually did finish this book already, and I gave it a 5-star. This is my first 5-star read of 2025. It was a feel-good book. Like, it was just really easy to read. The letters, the words are pretty big, and I love when the spacing is really good. I'm a sucker for easy reading. This is why I like YA books. I recommend it. It's really cute. If you want something that's like easy to read, quick, done, this is a good book. What Happened to Goodbye? Now, the next book that I have on my February TBR is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This book is about a woman who feels as though she hasn't done anything to show for, and because of that, she has made the decision to unalive herself. She's just going through it. She's going through it. She ends up in the Midnight Library. At the Midnight Library, she has a room full of books of different lives that she has lived. She also has this book of regret. She can kind of go through it and decide, like, okay, this is a regret that I have. I want to experience a life where I have this thing. Yeah, so she just kind of goes through all these little live experiences and experiences different lives, you know? I did finish it. I gave it a 4 stars. I think that this book would be a really good movie. I hope that they're like in the works. So it was good. I like it. Recommend it. The next book that I would like to read is The Housemaid's Wedding by Freida McFadden and The Housemaid is Watching. The reason why, to me, it's considered number 3, both of them, is because this one is a short story. Freida just came out with this short story, and she said that this book is good to read before you get to The Housemaid is Watching. Because here, Millie gets married to her husband, and in The Housemaid is Watching, she's already living with her husband. I'm going to read this book first and then this book. The Housemaid's Wedding is basically, I'm just going to read the back of the book. I'm engaged to the man of my dreams, and in a few short hours, I'm going to stand before a judge who will declare us husband and wife till death do us part. Despite some bumps in the road, this day is everything I dreamed it would be. There's only one problem. Someone out there doesn't want me to live long enough to say my vows, and if I'm not careful, they may very well get their wish. That is The Housemaid's Wedding. And then The Housemaid is Watching is that she has finally gotten married. She lives with her husband. I'm just going to read the back of the book. They have a neighbor, and they invite her to dinner, and the maid opens the door. And when she sees the maid, it kind of is like looking in the mirror because she was just in that position like a while ago. However, there's like a weird vibe or weird feeling that she's getting from this maid. It also says that's not the only thing that's strange here. I'm sure I see a shoulder. I'm strange. What? Something's going on. I'm sure I see a shadowy figure watching us. My husband leaves the house late at night, and one woman's word chills me to the bone, but be careful of your neighbors. I thought I'd left my darkest secrets behind, but could this quiet street be the most dangerous place of all? How far can one woman go to protect the life she's so carefully built for herself? So I'm guessing Millie doesn't want to go back to that, but yet there's some things happening. So this is The Housemaid's Watching. The last book that I have in my TBR is How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent by Julia Alvarez. First of all, is this not a beautiful cover? I love it. It's so cute and it feels very nice too. This book follows these 4 sisters as they grow up with 2 different cultures. They are from the Dominican Republic, and their father is involved in the overthrow of Trujillo's government, which is the dictator in DR back in the 1960s, 1950s. Because of their father's role in the overthrowing of the government, they have to flee and come to New York City. Once they come to New York City, they kind of have to assimilate to the American culture, wear American clothes, straighten their hair, which is so funny because, like, that's exactly what I'm doing right now, actually. They are also forgetting their Spanish. Can you hear the cops? Because what are you doing? Sorry, the cops were ruining my video. They have to kind of assimilate to the culture that it is here in America, especially in New York City. They just have to kind of deal with leaving their home and coming here to America and not really being comfortable or being in their home. This is the book that is putting me in a reading slump. Like, and it's so freaking interesting, is it not? Like, I think it's because like I started off reading What Happened to Goodbye, and then I went into the Midnight Library, and both of these books weren't that hard to read. But I think, first of all, look at my cute little bookmark. I just think that like the words are small, and I really like big words, and I don't know, something's going on. And I freaking love historical fiction, and this is kind of like a historical fiction, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. So I think that I want to stop, put a pause on this, and I want to read these two because I think that this would get me out of my reading slump. So those are all of my February TBR books that I am trying to get through. I don't know if I'm gonna finish these books. We're gonna see. I'm hoping I get to finish it. Thank you, my lovelies, for joining me today. This is gonna be cool. This is gonna be cute. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Black History Month. Educate yourselves. Educate other people. Love everyone. Be kind. Mwah, 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 my lovelies. Sir, you're in the way.